So, hello viewers. Today I am here with Professor David Rose. I'm Matt with Discuss Marketing, and we are going to conduct an interview today, hopefully give you some insights into his teaching career and his professional experience, and maybe you can use this in your own schoolwork if you're a professor or a teacher or just personal interest. So, David here primarily teaches marketing and marketing strategy courses to upper year students as well as MBA classes. He's also been a part of running the integrated case exercise program here at Laurier, which is a prestigious third-year program. We'll get into that a little bit later. And finally, he has some unique experience in the oil business, which is a big topic of conversation in today's classrooms. And so he may be able to give you some key insights into that world and kind of the inner workings of how it works. So to start off, we're going to talk about marketing strategy, the course that you primarily teach right now. And the content is not so cut and dry typically. So what are some challenges that you face in preparing kind of class outlines, and is there a certain teaching style that you use to really communicate to students?
Yeah, you're right, Matt. I'd say it's not really cut and dried, and I guess the biggest challenge is you never really know where the class is going to end up. And so it's like working without a net lots of times that, the interaction with the students and the points that they bring up, and we often end up in different places. So you need to be prepared for any event to is probably the biggest challenge with that type of material. I guess the other as well is to present it that there's no right answer, and it's if we look at a topic through this lens, it looks good or bad, and it's just understanding that there's different perspectives, and that can say it's not cut and dried, not clear cut. So never really knowing. Talk about teaching style, and I think this is. I try and model my style on people teachers that I had, and I found that all students prepare to be, say, poked a little bit. And the biggest complaint I hear from students is classes where they hear good answer, and they say, well, they can't all be good. There's got to be something there. So I like to try and challenge people and to think a little deeper, and not just to take their superficial or their first surface answer, and to really get a better understanding of the concepts and how they might use those to formulate their answer. As one of my own colleagues said, I don't care what you think, and we try and stay away from opinion, and how do you use those concepts. And so really interactive and questioning, and as you know, when I spend very much time talking, everybody falls asleep. So I find it works much better to have the students do the talking.
Right, absolutely. So that course, again, is more of a discussion-based course, and we're talking about real-world issues in marketing strategy and kind of how to solve them, again. So it's not such an easy answer all the time, and so it really is necessary to have a clear discussion to really kind of analyze the different viewpoints.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're now going to talk about your work experience in the oil industry. So just in general, you've worked in it for over 10 years, period. What are some key lessons that you learned from that part of your life that you've been able to apply into lecturing and teaching students about marketing?
Well, it's not just the oil industry. That was before I really came here. But since I'm here, I spend a lot of time now working with market research companies who do a lot of work with consumer packaged goods companies, with retailers. And so I'm always finding out what's going on out in the world. I spend a lot of time with tech companies here in town through Communitech. So that's, I think, a big part of my job is staying on top of what's going on in the world. Specifically from the oil industry, I think that was, as I've mentioned in class, they've gone through some real challenges, and so a company like Petro-Canada that, I guess they're part of Suncor now, but from the retail perspective, to been able to adapt and change as the world's changed, I think they've done a great job, and I still know quite a few people still in the business, and sort of looking at how they've progressed. When I see the Laurier grads who are working now in the oil industry, and how the business has changed since then, and I think it's been a great example of a dynamic view of strategy. And I'm not sure that everybody's as interested in the oil industry as I am, but that's been my background. I think the work I've done with, or I continue to do with market research companies that are working for retailers or consumer packaged goods companies is really fascinating. And a lot of the things we talk about in class, I see going on in the real world all the time, and they're struggling with all of the issues that we talk about. And so, from my perspective, it's been very valuable for me to understand of what's going on there. Not just in a kind of a war story or being able to talk about best practices, but more as an opportunity to see one of those concepts in action and who's what we say in the one assignment, is anybody practicing what we're preaching? And we see that quite often. I had a meeting yesterday with a small technology company here in Kitchener, Waterloo, and they're launching a second new product, which is in a different market space than the first one. And it's like, wow, this is a living, breathing marketing strategy case in action here, watching it unfold. Actually, one of the employees there was a former student. He said, "This sounds just like what we talked about in class," and was the reason that they invited me over. But I find those experiences are really valuable for helping students understand what we're talking about.
Absolutely, and it also kind of validates what we are learning in class and makes it relevant, so it's nice to hear. Okay, so the third kind of silo that we're going to talk about today is the ICE program here at Laurier. ICE is the integrated case exercise where a live company in the real world comes to Laurier, third-year students with a problem, and we are challenged in groups of 5 or 6 people to kind of come up with a case analysis and a recommendation for this company. And David has volunteered the last couple of years more significantly. And the challenge with this is getting companies to actually relay enough trustworthy information to us so that we can make an effective recommendation. So can you just talk about how you maybe persuaded companies to do this and what challenges someone else might face if they tried?
Yeah, well, we got a lot of people interested in being part of ICE, a lot of companies, tire kickers, that, and often we get they're just not willing to share the knowledge, or some are looking for students to do a lot of research for them. And that, of course, as you know, is not the point of it. The point is to give them basically all the information that the company has and to let students come to a decision. So we look for companies that say who are willing to share that information, share some numbers, but also to share the experience and understand what the purpose of it is. So our best success comes from former Laurier BBA students who are now in the management positions in companies, and because they understand what the purpose of it is. They also remember who was on their team, which case it was, every aspect of that week, and it really is a memorable experience, and so people want to give back to the school. Private companies, of course, are a little reluctant to give us financial information, but often are ready to talk all about their company and the challenges they face. Public companies have got the financial information in the annual report, but often there's things that they can't talk about in terms of the decisions and what they're doing, just from a public company point of view. So we talk to a lot, and but we don't really have trouble finding enough. But there's lots of reasons why companies won't participate. But the ones who do just make a great contribution. Last term was Linamar Corporation from Guelph. And just a great experience that they were great to work with. We found out a lot about the company, very positive experience for them. And afterwards they said, let's connect and do some more things between Linamar and Laurier. And I think that's a great result. We've established a relationship with a major Canadian company. The students have had a great experience, and everybody really wins.
Absolutely. I was actually part of this Linamar kind of case study, and I was initially shocked. The company is really manufacturing kind of globally and in construction, and it's not really something that we talk about a lot, especially in marketing courses and just in general in our cases. And so it really was kind of a fresh perspective. You really had to kind of dig your teeth in and kind of think outside the box, which was nice. So just generally, we have a lot of first-year professors and first-year teachers kind of watching our blog and our videos, and so we're just trying to gauge what are maybe just some fundamental challenges that you faced when you first came into teaching that could maybe kind of help out a new teacher and just how to overcome them.
I guess the biggest thing I found was understanding how today's topic fits into the overall picture, and what's the overall goal for this course, and kind of putting it into a framework that I could understand where we were going, because that was often my challenge in the first couple of years was all about today's topic, but then what are we doing next week? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to work on that yet. And so just understanding that big picture. I think 352, the first is presented as 15 chapters of sort of independent thought, and I realized this isn't working very well. I need to really get an overall picture of what it's like, and I kind of drew a little, which I'm probably shared with you, a little diagram of how I see the whole textbook kind of playing out, and then it all started to make a lot more sense to me. So that was really the, in any of these courses that I've taught, and I've taught quite a few, is to understand what is it that we're trying to accomplish here, and that made it a lot easier to position today's topic. I guess the other thing that in the earlier days, I used to find myself saying the wrong thing more often than I do now, and really understanding a student's perspective, I guess, is that giving a student the wrong feedback or wording it the wrong way, or giving a grade that really was outside their comfort range, understanding what the student's perspective is has been an ongoing lesson. Is how can I best give feedback to the students that will prompt them to learn something, rather than just giving them a slap and telling them their work wasn't good enough. And because I think the purpose is for you to learn something, not for me to evaluate your work. So that was the second big challenge, and I find hopefully less often now I give students feedback that they take offense to, and hopefully it's more of a learning experience.
Great. Okay, so I hope that really helped you out. That concludes our interview today. Just as a general note, there's going to be a few more videos being posted on this YouTube channel, so please subscribe. We also have our blog, discussmarketingcanada.blogspot.com, and we have our Twitter handle @DMC_forum. So please go to all those avenues and add us up, and stay tuned for more to come. Thank you.